so welcome back to our very, very last episode. We have learned so much over the last episodes, but now it's time to take everything we've learned and put it into practice. In this episode, we're going to learn how to take back control of our feeds and make social media a positive experience and space for us. So, with everyone addicted to social media, how can we actually take back control?
So, first thing I'm going to say is that addiction is something very specific, right?
Okay.
So it's a clinical term that we use. If you think about addiction to drugs or alcohol, that is something physical, right? If you are drinking a lot and you stop, you have a physical reaction to stopping that substance. Same with drugs. It's also something that's in the book of all the disorders, right? So there's a book called the DSM-5, and that lists all the things that could possibly be wrong with us from a mental health perspective, and it's listed in there. The idea of social media addiction or phone addiction or internet addiction isn't listed there, right?
Really?
So it's not actually a clinical addiction, everybody uses it the same way they say, look, I'm so addicted to chocolate, I'm so addicted to coffee, but it's not actually a clinical addiction. What tends to happen is you've got people who are using it in a problematic way, which is different. So it might be interfering with your life and causing some stress, but it's not the same as a physical addiction. A better way to frame it, and it's actually more helpful. So if you frame something as an addiction, you're left with very few options in terms of how you actually deal with that, right? So if you're addicted to alcohol or drugs, you have to avoid them. But you can't avoid the online world, right? Because it's so important to how we engage with people, work, everything. But if you frame it as a bad habit, then that gives you a lot more control back and it gives you a lot more options. So I'm not saying that habits are easy to change. I know from trying to make my diet better, it's not always easy. But it is something that with some effort we can make small changes over time. And I think that's just a much more helpful way to look at it. So if you have problematic use, so you're using it so much that it's interfering with things in your life and causing you stress, you might want to look at what you're doing. Or if, like we said in one of the earlier episodes, if what you're doing online isn't making you feel great, you're coming away from it and just not feeling good or feeling stressed, then you might want to look at what you're actually doing online and make some changes to that.
And other than like overusing social media and like scrolling for hours and hours, do you have any other kind of examples of bad habits when it comes to social media?
Yeah, so like overuse is obviously one of the biggest problems, and it is difficult to change. I know myself, right? So I'm ADHD, so people with ADHD are more likely to spend a lot of time online, right? We get really into it and we forget to stop looking at it. So one of the things that I do now is I do not allow my phone in the bedroom at all. So I can't look at it in the morning and I can't look at it last thing at night. I can't spend 2 hours looking at cat videos from 2 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the morning. So that can be quite helpful. So little changes over time can make a difference. Putting reminders up work for some people and they don't for others. You know, the ones that say, you know, you've 5 minutes left, your time is up, and all you have to do is hit OK and it's gone. It can work if you're really trying to make a change, because at least it gives you a little reminder. But it doesn't work for everybody. You can use apps that actually close off your access to certain other apps at particular times of the day. So those can be useful. I used that quite a lot during my PhD because social media was way more fun than what I was doing. So there are ways that we can do that. The other thing, though, is being mindful about our use. So a helpful way to do that is to try journaling. And that doesn't mean you have to have a lovely notebook, although everybody loves a lovely notebook. But you can just use your phone, use a note on your phone. So when you've been on social media and you come off it, think, how did that make me feel? You know, what did I enjoy? What did I not enjoy? What made me feel good? And have a look at that for maybe a week and see what are the patterns that you see in it. And then have a look at, like, do I actually need to make a change here? Am I generally okay and not overusing it and feeling pretty good? Then you're kind of fine. Or are you looking at it and going, I mostly feel not great coming off this, and this is why. It's because I follow all the Kardashians and I can never have their lifestyle. So that's not making me feel great. It's making me compare like my student housing to the, you know, the Kardashians housing. So you might want to look at maybe unfollowing or muting some of them for a while and then see how you feel after that, you know, and decide whether you want to unfollow them after that.
Just to circle back to that bit that you said about setting a reminder for screen time, or, you know, saying that I'm going to bed at this time, I'm going to put my phone away. if someone tells me or something tells me to do something, I want to do the opposite. Like it says, if they tell me you can't do this or don't do this, I want to do it. So do you have a way to kind of get around that?
It's funny, isn't it? Like even when it's yourself telling you to do it, it's a problem.
Don't want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully understand. So one way that works quite well to get around that is to link whatever it is you want to do to your values.
Okay.
So if you think about, you know, I really want to get a good night's sleep because it's really important for me to do well studying because I want to get into this course, or because I absolutely love my course and I want to do well in it. And if I stay up till 4 a.m. looking at TikTok, that's going to impact my concentration in class. And then you're linking it to something that's really important to you and you really understand why you want to do it. That works really well. That gives you a reason, and you're choosing to do it because of your values rather than telling yourself you have to do this because it's bad for you if you don't. But you have to remember it. So it might be in the reminder. So your reminder pops up and it doesn't say you have to stop now. It says, if you want to be able to focus tomorrow and learn, then it would be a good idea, or you can choose to switch out of Instagram right now.
So it's not like a big red button that you're not allowed to press, you know?
No, exactly. Yeah. It's a much more positive way of framing it. It's like, I'm choosing to do this because I have other things that are really important for me, rather than I'm not allowed to do this.
Yeah. So when we put all this into practice and make all these small changes, what kind of impact do you think that will make on us?
So what it should do is have the algorithm serving you. You should be seeing more content that you actually enjoy and get something out of, hopefully connecting with your friends more. Because one of the things that we know is that active engagement in social media is really key to well-being as well. So what that means is, you know, talking to your friends, commenting on their pictures, liking stuff, resharing stuff that's interesting to them so that they interact with you. That makes you feel good. If you're just scrolling, even if it's stuff that you kind of like, but you're never posting, you're never commenting, you're never interacting, that disengagement is actually not very good for you, because the thing that makes us feel good about social media is that social connection. And if you're not connecting with people, you're not getting that, right? All you're getting is just loads of images or videos, and that isn't giving you the social support that you need. So actually actively engaging is important rather than just scrolling.
So we've spoken a lot about the content that we consume and all the content that's out there from other people, but how do we make sure that our content that we're posting ourselves on our social media positively affects other people, but more importantly ourselves?
Really good question. I think if you bring together all the things that we talked about, if you're more positive, and that doesn't mean that you always have to be like toxically positive, everything's so great, but it means framing things in a way that's constructive, helpful, useful if you're talking about a negative subject. So if you're talking about, again, advocacy, problems that people are experiencing, it's focused on highlighting it so that people can do something about it rather than just complaining about it. If you're posting stuff about yourself, that it's edging more towards authenticity rather than perfection, right? So you're not taking 100 selfies to post one, you're not face tuning it so that it doesn't even look like you anymore. A little bit of filter, fine. We all do that, so I'm gonna say it's fine. But not like spending 2 hours redoing your selfie so that it doesn't look like you. And be more active in thinking about what it is and why you want to post what you're posting. Is it for validation? Is the only reason you're posting because you want people to like it or comment that you look great because you're not feeling good? And is there a better, more healthy way to get that information? And how would what you're posting make other people feel as well? Like, not to overthink it and go in circles about it, but just have a general idea of like, this is the kind of space that I want to inhabit online. Am I posting content that would create that space? It's
kind of going back to that moment of reflection before you like look at something, consume information. Do you have like maybe like reflective questions someone could ask themselves before they post a picture to make sure that it's serving them?
So I think being a bit mindful about it, right? So what kind of community you want to create. So before you post something, think like, why am I posting this? Why am I sharing this information? What do I want to get from it? So what's the result that I want from posting this? And how will I feel later? after I've posted this. So sometimes we share things and afterwards it's like, oh, wish I hadn't done that, go back, delete. But sometimes when you share something, you might be not sure about it, but you get a really positive response from it in terms of people opening up and sharing their experience too. So it can be worth going back and looking at things later and just thinking, like, did that serve the purpose? Did I get what I needed out of it? And was that the best way to approach it as well? But basically thinking, like, what kind of environment do I want to inhabit? Do I want it to be toxic? Do I want it to be all about how I look? And that's the only thing that's important to me. Or do I want it to be about connecting with people that I really love and care about and like and admire and look up to, and that we have similar things in common? And how do I contribute to creating that community?
And do you think the kind of outcome of the posts and the response and engagement we get influence what we post? Because I know if I post something that I'm very hesitant or might be a bit insecure about, but I get a good response, I'll keep it up because I feel good about it. But if I post something and it gets a negative response or it doesn't get as much engagement, I'll take it down. Do you think that's a big role in what we post?
It can be for some people, definitely. Some people who are trying to build a following particularly will take things down that didn't work. If you get a negative response to it, depending on what it is that you post, like a lot of things, it depends, but it may not have hit the way you thought, right? So we often spend a lot of time thinking about what we're going to post or what we're going to type to somebody, and we've intended it to come across in a particular way. But again, we come back to that idea that you don't have any of the nonverbal cues, and so some other people might be interpreting it differently. So they may not be reading it the way you intended. And so you might want to take that down because maybe you didn't express it as clearly as you wanted, or maybe the image or video conveyed something different to what you thought it did. And it's okay to go back and revise and take something down.
So without kind of telling us what to do, because obviously none of us are going to listen to that, do you have any advice on how to reclaim back our feeds?
It really depends on what your feed is like and what it's giving you, right? So if it's good and you're not spending too much time, you're fine. You don't need to worry about it, right? So don't stress about it. If you feel like it's not serving you, there's a number of ways to approach it. If you feel like you're spending too long on it, then you might start to look at, like, what is this impacting? Are there things that you would really like to be doing, like a hobby, a craft, spending time outdoors, spending time with people that you care about, getting more sleep because you can focus better, and aligning it with that so that you can make changes. And don't go detox, right? So the idea of a social media detox is also a fallacy, or like it's just not based on any evidence.
And barely works, let's be honest. I've tried it so many times and it never works.
It's like trying to go cold turkey on anything doesn't work because you just want to go back. And what the research shows is that moderate use is better for you than no use at all. Right, so some use is absolutely fine. If you're spending 18 hours a day in it, that's probably not great. So maybe you want to look at your behavior then. But I think setting those boundaries around who you follow, who you engage with, and how it's making you feel is probably the most important thing that you can take away from this. So using a journal or writing some notes to yourself, or even just keeping track generally of how you're feeling when you're interacting, and kind of just spending more time noticing what you're actually doing. Because we tend to go into a sort of a like slightly zombie state, and we're just scrolling and scrolling. And we call it doom scrolling no matter what we're doing, but like doom indicates something bad. If you're looking at things that are making you laugh and making you feel good, it's not doom scrolling. Right, that's like joy scrolling. So try and get more joy scrolling, try and get less doom scrolling. But also we can reset our feed, right? So we talked about paying attention to the content that is good for us and interacting with that. So and also interacting with the people we know and that we care about, so that we see more of that. Indicating what content we don't like. So telling the platform we're not interested in it, using the 3 little dots on TikTok and so on. But also if we're in there and we're just not enjoying any of it, like it just all feels wrong. This is the feed that we created 2 years ago. We're not that person anymore. And like you're just not happy. You can completely reset your feed on quite a lot of platforms, particularly Instagram and TikTok, you definitely can. And what that means is it's not going to unfollow anybody. It's not going to make anyone unfollow you. So your friends will still be there, the people you follow will still be there. You can choose to unfollow some of them to change your feed if you want to, but it's not going to force that. But what it will do is give you a clean slate. So it'll ignore all the previous things that you liked and it'll start you as though you're a new user on the platform. So it'll only show you things that are popular, generally. And you can choose what to interact with, what to search for. So if you had particular things that you really did like, go search for those, interact with those things, it'll start showing you more. Don't interact with the things you didn't like from your feed before. It won't show you those anymore. So you can completely change what you see. Because I remember joining TikTok back during COVID when everybody joined TikTok. And I got loads of the kind of like, TikTok skewed very young back then, right? So it was lots of like young teenage content, which is not what I am. And so I very quickly was saying, I'm not interested, I'm not interested, this is not for me.
And it takes forever to keep pressing not interested as well.
But then I went and searched for content creators that I knew from other platforms that I really liked. And once I followed a couple of them, I started seeing other people who were related to them and more content like that. So it quite quickly learns from what you're doing, but you do have to be quite conscious about it.
Yeah, to me that's kind of like, I know we don't like to use the word kind of detox, but it's kind of like a healthy detox because you're not like going cold turkey on social media and deleting it and taking a break. We're just getting rid of the kind of negative content on our social media or content that's not serving us and just bringing it in with positive content. Yeah,
it's kind of like rather than emptying your fridge and saying I'm not eating anymore, you're taking out the 4 kilos of chocolate and leaving a little bit and like filling it up with nice fruit and veg and other things that are actually better for you and that give you a nice balanced diet. Leaving some chocolate for treats.
So where can someone find out more about your work?
So I have a website, which I sometimes update, but you can also find me probably on Instagram is the place that I use most, Nicola Fox Hamilton. And also I have a podcast, and I would love for anyone to listen to it if you want to find out more about any of the stuff we've been talking about. We have like a whole bunch of episodes so far about all of these topics in depth and some topics that we haven't even got to cover. So it's called In Bits, and it's on all the podcast platforms and YouTube.
That is so cool. Make sure to check it out. So that's it for us today, our very last episode. But before we finish, I really want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you from me and the whole Shona community. You don't know how much we appreciate you giving up your time from your very busy schedule to be here. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. You're amazing. And like we're besties now, right?
Oh, she's like the blonde to my brunette.